Welcome, fellow truth seekers, to our cosmic corner of the internet. Today, we are honored to bring you a profound and transformative experience with the renowned Andromedan contactee, Alex Collier. But before diving into cosmic wisdom, we kindly ask you to lend your support. Please take a moment to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the bell icon for notifications. Doing so, you help us amplify Alex Collier's knowledge and reach a wider audience. Together, let's ignite the awakening of consciousness around the world.
Sit back, relax, and listen to the entire webinar, number 32. In this webinar, Alex Collier covers current global intelligence, the solar system, artificial moons, synthetic life, synthetic humans, the Cabal, global warming, false global narratives, fake history, and much more.
Welcome to webinar number 32. Blue JP and a really nice tanned, healthy-looking Alex Collier. How are you, Alex, today?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to this webinar. We are live from Colorado in the United States of America. Some of the things we're going to be talking about today are current events, solar system, artificial moons, synthetic life, synthetic humans, the Cabal, global warming, absolutely false global narratives, and fake history. But before I go anywhere, I have an announcement to make. And today we are missing a team member, and that would be James Harkin. Last night, his mother passed away. So I would ask each of you to please send him and his family a prayer and or an email, just acknowledging his loss. Because without James, this would not have happened. He's the one who who brought us all together to make these webinars happen, and actually on his own dime, he put together the website to pull all of the information together, so it would be all in one place. So, I'm sure you share with me that our hearts go out to him and his family. So he is not here today because he's tending to that. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, there is so much going on in the world. And this week, I tried watching the news, but I couldn't hear any of the information over all the doom and gloom that they were spreading. So I've stopped watching the news again. It's crazy. But, let's just talk about some things here. I'm going to start this webinar by telling you a story about three friends who met in a restaurant to have dinner. One was a doctor, physician, the other one was an engineer, and the third was a politician. And as they are having dinner, the conversation came up as to which of the three professions that each of them had was the oldest. So the doctor went first, and he goes, look, according to the Bible, a rib was taken out of Adam to create Eve, and therefore, being a physician is the oldest profession. At which point the engineer then said, look, he goes, according to Jeremiah, God created the heavens and the earth out of chaos and confusion. And that was long before Adam and Eve. So therefore, being an engineer is the oldest profession. At which point they looked at the politician who said, well, where do you think all the confusion and chaos came from? So he took credit for politics being the oldest profession. I I bring this up because it is imperative that you understand that the chaos and confusion in the world today is all being done on purpose. This narrative that is being fed to everyone is being deliberately done on purpose to overwhelm everyone so that you literally either shut down or you don't pay attention to what they're doing because you just don't want to deal with it. So, and you also need to understand that this is being done at a very, very high level. Now, I understand that there is a speaker who's out of Japan, that's where he calls home, who has said that the Rothschilds had surrendered and the Cabal are surrendering. Ladies and gentlemen, even if they wanted to, they would never be allowed to. Okay? The regressive alien reptilian groups that control the planet control these families. Even if these families wanted to get out, they can't get out. Okay? So what you see as world events is literally the cascading agenda that was started years and years and years ago. Because you got to remember these extraterrestrials, some are third, some are fourth density, they think holographically. They are several steps ahead of us all the time. So when they put a plan in motion, it is all conclusive and almost airtight. The only thing that doesn't make it airtight is intervention from the outside. But as far as if there were no intervention from the outside and it were just us, we would have an even more difficult time than we are having right now. Comprehending and understanding and trying to break free from all these false narratives that we're being fed. And understand that the sole purpose of all these false narratives is to, one, disempower us, two, lower our frequencies, to lower our vibration. That's key, because the higher the vibration, the harder it is on them to be in our space. The lower our vibration, they can feed off of humanity, which is what they have done for years and years and years. So, Korea, China, the United States, Russia, the Middle East, ISIS, yada, 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 okay? If you're like me, you would have to, you would be sitting there thinking, you know, just how stupid is everybody up at the top? I mean, really, how stupid are they? Okay? And quite frankly, they're really not that stupid. They're just following orders. And those orders are coming from the Cabal, the banking system, and the Cabal and the banking system are getting their orders from the alien groups who have their agenda, okay? Now, the bloodlines are totally controlled by the extraterrestrial consortium that's here, the regressive consortium, okay? And the Cabal, the bloodlines, their sole purpose is to implement policy and then to give orders down to the governments. So understand that this is all orchestrated. The key here, though, is to get us to emotionally buy into it. And what I mean by buy into it is we emotionally focus our energy, and by focusing our energy on these false narratives, we actually give these narratives more solidity. Because the more we believe it, the more solid, the more real it becomes. So they're very clever in what they do and how they do it. Okay, and we've talked about this in previous webinars, which is why I have said it's important to try to remember to be the observer. Okay, because by being the observer, you're looking at it, but you're not giving it your energy. You're not focusing your creative power into making it become a physical reality. Okay, because if none of us did that, it would be nothing but talk. It would be a narrative. There would be nothing real about it at all. Almost like global warming. Okay, global warming is false. It isn't happening. Okay, over 80% of the scientists in the world will tell you that it's not happening. For God's sakes, we have glaciers forming in Morocco. It's not happening. Okay. As the Earth's poles are tilting, certain areas of the planet are losing ice, but others are gaining ice. Okay, it's called balance. And this has happened before. I mean, most of North America was covered by a single glacier. And it's not here anymore, okay? So understand we're moving into an ice age. But the more that they repeat it and they get you to buy into it, and, you know, people pay protesters $15 an hour to go and protest on behalf of global warming, and people buy into it, it becomes a reality, even though it's not a reality, all right? All it's doing is, all that they want is to tell you, is to continue to disempower you, take away more freedom of movement from you, and to tax you more money so that they can steal it from you by legitimizing it, saying that it's all going to global warming. And it's quite frankly, it's bullshit. It really is. Okay, and I'm sure that you all have an opinion about it, and that's fine. Now, the last couple of weeks we have talked about artificial moons, things that are going on in our solar system. I need to go back to that for a moment, okay? There is a lot of conversation in science about synthetic DNA, about creating synthetic robots, automatons, androids, okay, all kinds of things. You need to be aware of the fact that this technology has been underground and has been experimented with and tampered with, and it's been worked on in black budget programs, special access projects and programs for years now. And let me explain this to you. The first automatons or synthetics, robots that our space program ran into was on the moon Mimos, okay? And when we talked about artificial moons and some of them being spacecraft or old war carriers or mining equipment, understand that these moons, these craft, had their own maintenance crews. Now, these maintenance crews were not living beings. They usually were robots, automatons, synthetics, synthetic clones. They all don't look human. Some of them do. Some of them are humanoid, okay? But nonetheless, these crews would work, and they would work on the machinery. They would maintain the machinery. They would work on propulsion systems. They would work on all different types of environmental systems that were inside these spacecraft for the sole purpose of making sure that they would continue to run should the owners of these moons come back and decide, okay, we're going to be using it again for another project. Their purpose was to do this. The larger of the moons would have very large crews. Some would work on multiple levels or floors, or multiple types of different equipment inside. Now, when these things were shut down, these machines, these synthetics, would be put into cryo or into stasis, or literally just shut down, turned off. There would always be one or two or three, depending upon the levels and the floors, etc., that would continue to maintain day-to-day operations, and just to make sure that everything was still operational. Do you follow what I'm saying here? Okay. This is what they were. They were maintenance crews. But they're robots. Now, aside from the physicality, okay, we're also talking about a very specific level of artificial intelligence. They would know what to do. They would program to fix things. They would be programmed to adjust things. They would be programmed that if there was a specific situation, they would go and they would know which robot to wake up so that he would work on a specific piece of machinery. So we're talking about artificial intelligence as well. So, but understand that that level of artificial intelligence from these artificial moons is not something that could be implemented here on Earth. Okay? Their programming is too different, and they're very specific. The programming is extremely specific as to what it is that they would do. However, a lot of things were learned. A lot of knowledge was gleaned from these automatons, these robots, these androids. Also, the synthetic DNA, the artificial physicality that was created to house these beings, whether they are silicon or mechanical, etc., carbon, okay, whatever it was, whatever they are, that was also taken. So now you're hearing about some of this coming out. Synthetic DNA, etc., etc., artificial intelligence. Understand that this is where it's all come from. Okay, it has come from our own solar system. We didn't think this shit up. Okay, now the artificial intelligence that they're trying to implement here on the surface of the planet has been tweaked, and it's been tweaked based on the intention and the agenda of the scientists that are and code writers that are putting it together here. Now, based on the intention of the code writers and those that they work for, this is where it can get really, really scary when you're dealing with artificial intelligence. And this is why some scientists say, you know, we should be very concerned about this. Christian theologians, metaphysical theologians, and many others, they have serious issues with this. And they do, because we don't know who's writing the code and what their intentions are. And the thing about artificial intelligence is it can be programmed to learn and to adapt. And at some point, it is very possible that it will begin to outthink its creators. There's a very real concern about that. Because as we have seen with CERN, as we have seen with HARP, with the Collider, sometimes our scientific groups, these special access programs, these black budget programs, our governments, they don't know when to stop. They keep pushing and pushing and pushing the envelope. Okay? But I want you to know, it's important for you to know where all of this is coming from, all right? Because as we get closer and closer to the end game, you need decision support. And this is not mystical, this isn't heaven sent, this isn't God's good grace, this is technology. This is not spiritual technology, okay? This is technology, alien technology that we have commandeered and that we have tweaked or reverse engineered that will be used against humanity. Probably, more than likely. Okay, now, to go back to the bloodlines and the fact that they can't surrender because they are absolutely controlled, their lineage is controlled, their bloodlines, their families, if they don't do as what they're said, they will vanish from the face of the earth. These are all real things that go on when you work with the dark side. It appears that they are not going to surrender, that they haven't surrendered, and they have no intention of surrendering. So it appears at this point that we are going to be playing out the second coming and everything else that goes along with that. So I'm preparing you for this, okay? It's going to get really, really weird, and it's already bizarre, but it's going to get really, really weird. Now, what's interesting that I have just been reminded of is the fact that much of what's happening here on Earth is what happened to the Procyons, okay, when they were entrapped for 600 years. Except there wasn't intervention for a very long time in the Procyon system, simply because almost no one knew anything was going on in that particular star system. Okay, but that's not the case here. There is a great deal of influence. There is a great deal of intervention. There is intervention going on every single day, not only from above, but also on the surface, from boots on the ground. But as this thing moves forward, and as the positive and the negative frequencies truly begin to clash, and this war that we see for the soul of humanity begins to spill out into the open, I want to remind you that it's imperative that you have perspective, that you understand what's going on, so that you don't emotionally give it your focus and move into fear, which not only feeds the solidity of what they're trying to do, the dark side, but it also lowers everybody's vibration. Okay, we can't do that because that's exactly what they want us to do. Okay, the only way to starve them out of here is to not move into a space of fear. It would be ideal if humanity could have this epiphany and we could all see each other as a family. But that just hasn't happened yet. And I don't know what it's going to take for that to happen. Also, as this thing moves forward, those of us in the exopolitics community, and I have been warning you guys about this for years, okay, we're going to be shut down. And it's coming. It's coming. It's all part of the drama that's coming, that's playing itself out. Okay, it's the power over the freedom to create and be. And the power over is absolutely in its death throes, but it is desperate, and it will do whatever it has to take in order to survive. And you also need to be aware of that, because there's nowhere for these clowns to go. Okay, this is the end of the road for them. They're not going to be able to fly out of here to some other star system and do this kind of crap again to anyone. It isn't going to happen. This is the end of the road for them, and they know it. So they're not going to surrender. They're going to play this thing out in the hopes that a mistake is made or that they somehow find a position of leverage in which to make a cut or better deal for themselves. That's what's going on here, bottom line. Now, I know there's a lot of talk about nuclear war. You have to ask yourself, why would anybody want a nuclear war? Okay? As I have said before, and this is very well documented, the Disclosure Project was very excellent in getting the testimony of people who know this stuff for a fact, that most of our nuclear arsenal, the Russians, the Chinese, even the Israelis, the Indians, Pakistan, those with nuclear weapons, they have been turned off, circuit boards have been melted, and that's basically just, hey, we know you have them, but hey, you're never going to use them, okay? And there's a purpose for that, because it doesn't just destroy our planet and humanity. It rips holes in time and space and into dimensions, okay? And no matter how narcissistic we want to be in creating and destroying ourselves, that isn't going to be allowed, because there's consequences to other races. So, because they see us as a family. It isn't necessarily that they want to control us or manipulate us into not hurting ourselves, because we have that choice. It's just not about us, okay? Now, the synthetic robots, androids, several of them that were in crisis, that were in stasis, they were, in other words, they were shut down. Those things were taken by specific craft in our space fleet and brought back to Earth and have been reverse engineered in some of our underground facilities here on the planet. Now, what's also interesting that I've been told, just very recently, is that in one of the spacecraft in Antarctica, they have also found these type of devices, androids, that were tasked with maintaining specific systems and areas of these ships. So but I do want to ask you a question, and I want you guys to think about this, okay? We've heard, we know that the reptilians are underground. Now we're hearing about the giants and how the giants have been there and how they're going to be coming up. My question to you is this, and I'm not going to answer this until next week or until the next webinar, but my purpose for this is to give you food for thought. If they have been down there, and if they have been in Antarctica all this time, why is it that they haven't been using these ships? Why is it that they haven't been able to use the technology? Why is it they haven't just tried to fly out of here thousands of years ago, before the quarantine came down? Just a food for thought, okay? It just might be that what we're being fed, not all of it's true, okay? So the purpose for me asking this is to give you more decision support on what it is that you're hearing. Now, the technology that we say that we hear about, this electrical resonance frequency technology, well, this is very similar to what Tesla did, Nikola Tesla, and the experimentation he did down in Colorado Springs. So we know the technology exists. We know that it's free, clean energy. We also know it can be wireless. as well. This would, of course, be a very, very good thing. I'm totally supportive of it. But again, being the observer and taking emotion out of it allows you to have a different perspective, because we have all been so conditioned emotionally to act and then react to things that are done in the public. Okay, and that conditioning has been very strong, generation after generation after generation. It is important to understand that that's what they want you to do. They are purposely doing things to get you to react. All right? For example, here in the United States, we're having a real issue with the killing of police officers and attacking and ambushing police officers. That's the new thing. Now, is every cop a good cop? No, there's a few bad apples, but they are by far the minority. Okay, they are. But this is being done on purpose to create not only dissension, but division. A house divided cannot stand. These guys, these beings know what they're doing. And that is why it's important to know that if you're the observer, you will see very clearly what the strategy is. But if you're emotional, if you're just buying into it and you know, oh my God, and the minute your emotions take over on something like this, because of our emotional conditioning, your ability to clearly see both sides equally goes out the window. So it is important to know this. Now, as we get to this next part, understand that the regressive reptilian groups, the Orion groups, the consortium, the regressive consortium, is behind everything that's going on right now in public, all right? And they're moving their agenda. It was put into place a long time ago, and it is rolling itself out. And they're going to continue to roll it out, as I told you, because there's no tomorrow for these beings. Okay, there is nowhere for them to go, and they are hoping to either win or at some point to create a scenario where someone makes a mistake and that they themselves can cut a better deal for themselves. I personally don't see that happening, but nonetheless, this is what it is. It isn't going to just change overnight. It just isn't, and I want it to. I want to tell you it's going to happen overnight, but it just isn't. These things have to play itself out. More truth, more deception needs to come to light. The power structure that we have all been living under, that humanity's been living under for thousands of years, needs to come to light. The true history of the planet has to come to light so that we, as a species, as a race, can have some perspective as to who it is that we truly are. Okay? Because how are we going to move forward as a species, as a race, together, a united race, if we don't know who we are and where we've come from? Okay? The entire dialogue about how we see ourselves as a race has to change. The dialogue we have now is broken, it's disjointed, it's divisional, and it isn't true. And for those of you who have been following exopolitics, you now know for a fact that the conspiratorial history of Earth is the right one. It's true. All right? What we have been spoon-fed through the books and all that is essentially rubbish for the most part. Absolute rubbish. But key things have been taken out, such as the actual founding of the human race on Earth, the seeding of it on Earth, the exodus from Mars by some races to Earth, into the hollow Earth, etc., etc., etc. Many of those things. Yeah, a lot of that. You're going to be hearing a lot about the Book of Revelations and the Antichrist, the false prophets, the Shroud of Turin. Okay. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the information, I talked about this stuff almost 25 years ago, about how in the end time that the Antichrist, who is a human reptilian hybrid, will look like the man in the Shroud of Turin. So, if you were a scientist today, a geneticist, and you were looking at the blood type of the person that's supposedly on the Shroud of Turin, you would know that the female chromosomes are there, but not that of the father, of the male. Now you could look at that as in two ways. One, it's divinely created. Two, whoever the being is on the cloth was a hybrid. So there's two ways of looking at it. Both would be appropriate. Both, at this point, would be true, because we don't know the absolute truth about all of that, because all of that history has been whitewashed. The books have been destroyed. The original Gospels have been destroyed. All of that was destroyed by the church itself in order to protect their power base, to protect the narrative of what they were telling everybody. I'm not here to piss off anybody. Okay? But this is what it is. This is what it is. Okay? So, a lot of things are going to be happening. They already are, and they're moving so fast, they're moving so quickly. It's just, you can barely keep up with it. I mean, it's just staggering how much there is. But understand that the bottom line here, the bottom line for the dark side is to create a world government run by the United Nations, who are unelected bureaucrats, just like your EU, okay, that will be run and controlled by international financiers, aka the royal families, who will be taking their orders from the regressive alien consortium. Okay? Their purpose will be to herd everybody together into cities and then decide that there's just not enough resources to take care of everybody. So then this is where Agenda 21 would kick in. Okay? Where a certain portion of the population would have to go away. They would have to be eliminated in order to preserve the resources. Again, this is all a false narrative. Okay? It's all a false narrative. But what it does is this. It lowers your vibration. It disempowers you. It makes you feel disempowered. It makes you feel a slave, which in turn creates frustration, which creates more and more anger, which of course lowers your vibration even more. That's the point. The lower the vibration, the more they can feed off of us. The higher the vibration, the more they have to stay away from us. This is the goal. I don't know how this is all going to play out with the outside intervention. I'm not quite sure what the timeline is, what the events are, what critical converging moments are where an action is taken on the surface and then a reaction comes from out of the sky by the benevolence? I'm not sure. And at this point, it is so fast and furious with everybody on the inside scrambling, because this is it. They are down to, this is it. We have to throw everything we can or we're done. Okay, I'm referring to the regressives here. They're throwing it all against the wall. Okay? Again, while I can still talk to you, because I understand that other exopolitics people, they're coming down on people. And they're using any excuse they can to shut them down, to shut them up, because this portion of the alien agenda, okay, I don't necessarily want to call it disclosure, because I don't know that they're actually just going to come right out and say, hey, yeah, that's typically not how these guys work. It could be where it's an accident. They make it look like an accidental disclosure or discovery. But understand this. We got a lot of help. We do. But we have to do our part. Okay? We have to try to somehow remain positive. We have to somehow maintain our own personal sovereignty. Okay? Our own perspective about who we are, and do our best to remain observant of everything that's going on, to maintain our personal space as far as our frequency, keep it as high as possible. All right? Because what's happening is that it's becoming so overwhelming that many people want to leave. They're taking themselves out. We have so many young people committing suicide today that it's absolutely staggering. It's absolutely staggering. And there's no reason for it. It's just because they're so overwhelmed. They don't see any hope because they're just being bombarded and bombarded and bombarded with, you're not good enough. You're this, you're that, you're not worthy. You're not deserving. It's just amazing. It is absolutely amazing. It's appalling, actually, is what it is. It's absolutely appalling. And this narrative is not true. And this is why I keep stressing over and over and over again, not to emotionally buy into it, to try to maintain your position as the observer so you don't get sucked down that rabbit hole. Because if you get sucked down that rabbit hole far enough, there's no way out. You can't see the sky anymore. You can't see the sun. Okay, it just looks like it's bleak, it's hopeless. And nothing could be further from the truth. Okay? Nothing could be further from the truth. There is so much promise. There is so much to be hopeful for. It's just that when you know what's coming, it's like going to the theater. You've read the book, okay? You've read the book, and now you're going to the theater to see it on Broadway, or it's your local playhouse. You've already read the book, so you know what's coming. This is what I'm trying to help you with. Okay, I'm trying to share this with you so that you can have decision support. So you can say, okay, that's familiar. I've heard this before. Okay, that's the purpose of all of this, while we can still do these little webinars. So yes, the UN's going to do its thing. There's going to be a lot more Hollow Earth information coming out. I'm not sure what their agenda is going to be in sharing that, but nonetheless, it's going to be coming out. Synthetic DNA, the merging of man and machine. Ladies and gentlemen, don't do it. Don't do it, okay? Don't allow yourself to be given alien DNA or synthetic DNA, because the intention of the people here doing this to us is not light. It is just not right. Okay? It's dark. Their intention is dark to do this. This is not about curing disease. None of this is. They could have cured every disease they wanted to, but it's about money. That whole thing is about money. So their intentions are dark. It is not about helping humanity. Okay, it's about altering your DNA so that you are no longer a human being. You are now something else. And the more that they can do that, that eliminates specific alien groups out there who are connected to us, connected to us through our DNA, through the seeding, star seeding, in Earth's history. They would have to leave. They could not participate in the liberation of the planet. And I've talked about this for years and years and years. This is all in the past, okay? It's all coming to a head. And we probably, between now, 2018, 2019, we're going to know. Plus, we have a star system, a small solar system passing through our solar system. And I don't know if any of you are paying attention to it. You're not going to see it on Fox News. You're not going to see it on MSNBC or CBS or AC. They're just not going to do this. But if you go to YouTube, there is an enormous amount of high definition film, video of these things in the sky passing by the planet. Okay? Huge planetoids. So it comes down. The last webinar I talked about emails that I get from young people who want to be taken out of here, who don't want to live on Earth anymore, so they want me to arrange transportation to take them to another star system to live with another race. Even if that were to happen, which it won't, even if there was the ability to evacuate a portion of the population of Earth and take it to another planet, yes, your perspective would change for a while because you'd have all of this external output or external input, new surroundings, new language, new technology. You would have a lot of external stimuli to keep you distracted for a while, okay? But eventually, we would all come back to the point where you have to look at yourself. You have to look at what's on the inside, because that's where everything is. It's on the inside. It's not on the outside. In third density, fourth density, fifth density, it's all about the art of love, learning the art of love. So no matter whether you went to Procyon, whether you went home to the Pleiades, whether I went to Zenithé, whether some of you went to Orion or Betelgeuse or to Sirius A or B or C, eventually you would all come to this place where you have to look at the inside. How is it that we look at ourselves? How is it that, who is it that I see? How is it that I reflect the inside of me outside of me? And that's, ladies and gentlemen, that's where the work is. And there is no avoiding that work. I mean, you can have a distraction for a while, maybe 2 or 3 lifetimes, but ultimately it will come back to you. What is your perspective of you? What is it that you as a soul really want? What makes you tick? What makes you happy? And, we're getting this crash course right now. We are. But being in that space takes you completely out of the drama that's going on around you. Okay? Because you're focusing on the inside, and that's where the work is. And when you realize, when you have those aha moments about what it is that you really want, what really makes your heart sing, and you decide, you know what, that's what I want. That's the direction I'm going in because it fulfills me. That's what I'm gravitating towards. Then you will go there and you will move into that place and in that direction with joy. And there is no higher vibration than joy. And if you can teach that to the kids, okay, that empowers them. It gives them a sense of well-being. It keeps them from being dragged into the sewer with all this crap that is surrounding us day after day after day. Because it's going to get weirder. It really is. It's going to get weirder. JP, I would love to do some questions now. You click back in. And ladies and gentlemen, again, I just want to remind you at your leisure to, to ping James Harkin. He's a great guy. He's absolutely a great guy. And, there's been a tragedy in his family, and he could use the moral support. And so could his family. And I personally would really appreciate it. Thank you. JP, you there? Yay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Alex, can you hear me? Oh,
I can hear you.
Thank you. Thank the Lord. Thank the Lords of the Internet. Right. So, usual suspects, a first brush with Jeff. Many spiritual traditions fourth word, I felt, right. Many spiritual traditions consistently teach that in the state immediately following death, one should ignore all attempts to either entice or frighten the newly departed soul. Some, however, one should intend to follow and enter the light while doing so. What's the right? And then there's no end of that question. It's gone. So yeah, and there's more Jeff. Where's the other Jeff? No, there's two Jeffs as well. So anyway, following the light and going towards the light. What's the current stat of the going towards the light thing, Alex?
I don't know that anything has changed. I have been told that when it's my time, that it has been suggested to me by Phaseus to turn around and look behind me and then make a choice. And depending upon what I want to do, I can go into the light and be recycled back into here, or I can free my soul and take off and fly home or fly anywhere I intend to go. So I'll let you know. Well, I don't know how I'd let you know.
Yeah, well, I'm sure, knock on my door or something.
Yeah, and you know what? If when it's your time and you turn around and you see the universe and you decide that's where you want to go, that's fine. And if not, you can turn around and you can go to the light. I mean, it's all choice. Again, it comes down to what do you want? And I understand that we're all operating on that much information when it comes to this particular theme, but I personally don't have any experience with that. Not yet, anyway. Okay? So, and I'm not in any hurry either to have that kind of an experience.
Neither. Yeah. So, from Anna, Anna Balboa, why have they not been caught on the big lie of Jesus's crucifixion? It's a big lie I read recently. Why to create such an awful thing? Very good question, isn't it?
You know, that's such a great question. And, you know, look at it this way. You know, I guess there was a time where martyrdom carried a lot of weight. And the thing about martyrdom is you draw people in emotionally to martyrdom. And then when you spill the lie that he died for our sins, that he gave his life for us, that in many people has brought up guilt, which is a very manipulative emotion in itself. Now, whatever the truth is regarding that whole scenario, just look at this. Okay, we have been taught that he's the Son of God and we should all worship him. And there is no way we can be free without him. And yet, supposedly, his own words were, "These things I do, ye shall do greater, if ye have faith," which implies we're equal. So which is it? Okay, which is it? Are we equal? Are we brothers and sisters? Or not? Which is it? I choose to believe that my relationship with the Creator is my relationship with the Creator. Why do I need to have somebody punch my ticket? Okay? I don't believe we need a middleman. I think the personal relationship we have with creation, the isness, with God, with whatever name you apply to that, Great Spirit, whatever name you call it, or however you relate to all that is. The relationship is personal with the source. I can tell you that in the fifth density, there are no messiahs. There are teachers, but there are no messiahs. There are no masters either. Okay? There isn't anyone who knows everything about everything. Doesn't happen. Okay? So, but it's a personal choice. There are a lot of people who are very comfortable keeping that spiritual empowerment outside of themselves. They're very comfortable with that and giving their power away. And then there are others who are not comfortable with giving their power away and who would rather mature spiritually through School of Hard Knocks, you know, the University of whatever it is, and through just making errors and figuring it out and empowering themselves through that. Because in the end, regardless of whatever the journey you take, all the broken pieces always find their way home. Okay? All of them find their way home. So, you're going to end up back to source anyway. So, you choose the road. It's your road. It's your experience. Okay? Whatever you choose to believe, it's your road. Okay? But don't choose to disempower yourself. For what reason would you do that? For what reason? Okay, next question, JP.
Yes, indeed. And Barbara. All right. Okay. Right. Again, this is still about incarnation stuff. My question would be, if we reach spiritually the fifth dimension, physically not yet, I'm pondering if we could quit the incarnation loop in case we would die.
I don't have that.
Some translation issue. No.
I don't have that answer. We'll find that out together.
Okay. Here, another, all right, okay. From Elaine. 2003 was the deadline for all non-Terrans to get off planet Earth. 14 years later, and the New World Order is being pursued. What are the consequences for those who have stayed beyond this deadline, both good and bad?
Okay, well, let's just deal with the bad, because that's where the real consequences are. They're screwed. They are totally screwed. And I don't know how else to say it. There is no way to sugarcoat it. What they have done to our humanity, what they have continued to do, because there was an agreement that they were going to leave, and then they chose not to. So they reneged. They're screwed. They now have no way out of here except to experience something very horrible. And again, that's of their own making. For the good, they have had to persevere and deal with a very, very tough environment known as third density Earth. I don't know if those are boots on the ground that were here in 2003 or before are still here. I would think that many of them would have a very, very, very difficult time with the frequency of Earth as it went up and then it goes down. It's gone up a little bit and then it's completely tanked. And now it's trying to rise again. And now the regressors come in and they're trying to tank the vibration one more time, the final time. So I would think, coming from a higher frequency, that this would be an incredibly difficult environment for them. But nonetheless, having experienced that themselves, I would think that their compassion for humanity has only grown. Because, folks, we live this shit every day. We do. The control, the manipulation, the deceit, the chemical poisoning, the brainwashing, the false narratives, the fake religions. We live these scenarios every single day. And we somehow try to figure it out and survive and do the best that we can for our families and ourselves. So I think that on one level, there's great admiration and great empathy for our plight and our journey. But I also think that there has to be some bewilderment, because maybe they're thinking, why don't these folks get this yet? Why haven't they seen the truth of what's really going on? Why is it that so many are so quick to continue to surrender their power and self-empowerment to this thing, that we live under, this matrix? So I know Visayas was always bewildered by that, always. So, okay, next question.
From Ingrid. Can Alex please comment on the timing of the announcement that Prince Philip, husband of Queen Elizabeth II, has announced that he is resigning from all public engagements? Does Alex feel that this is symbolic as to what is taking place behind the scenes? Much love to you, Alex, and grateful thanks.
I don't have a comment. JP and I were literally talking about this just before we went on air today. And I mean, I hate to even go there, but is it the real Prince Philip? Is it the real Queen? Who knows? I don't know. I genuinely don't know, and I don't have a perspective. I know that Prince Philip is, he's if it's really him, he's probably tired. You know, he's done the dance. He's played his role to the tilt, and maybe he just wants to cruise. You know, he's done. He just wants to cruise. He wants to kick back and just enjoy and just chill. And you can hardly fault him for that. So that's my answer. Fact is, I don't know if there's anything significant other than that. Or if they're getting ready to, both of them are getting ready to retire and let the younger generation take over. I don't know. We will all find out soon enough. Okay, because the way things are moving in the timeline and how everything's being sped up, we won't have to wait long. We won't.
From Lauren, what's the deal? First, there was one in China. Now another one was seen. Is this the 5G testing you were talking about? Holographic projections to test a second coming scenario? Just curious what you know about this.
That's exactly what I think. My opinion hasn't changed since the last time I brought it up. That is exactly right. So it's all the above. It's all the above. Wild, folks. I mean, it looks like it's going to be wild. You know, it's just, I mean, it's going to be quite the presentation. It really is. Okay.
All right. From Jean or Jean, Alex, you may be able to get more people to go to your webinar by giving views on our shows. Is it too dangerous for you to do this?
I'm sorry, JP, you cut out there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll say this. Is this, where did you lose all of it?
The question was, you might draw more people to your webinar if, and that's where I lost you.
By giving interviews on others. Is it too dangerous for you to do this?
No, it's not dangerous. I just haven't wanted to do it. I just haven't wanted to do it. I mean, you know, I did the Dog and Pony Show for 23 years. I did. You know, I just haven't wanted to do it. And there's no slight against other interviewers. I support them all from a distance. I think most of them are great, at least those that I know personally. There are many I don't know. I just don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. I really like this, you know, and, you know, I'm not interested in becoming a household name. I'm not interested in that at all. There are others who are, and they're doing their thing. That is not what I'm about. So those who are drawn to the information will find the information. Those who are not won't, nor would they even care. So there's your answer. Nothing fancy. You don't want to do it. Okay? JP, you there?
Yeah, but I was muted. You could see me, blah, 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 blah. You know, blah, blah.
Yeah, I can. I saw the beard.
I am just flapping. Hey, look, I got stuff like this now. So I can hold them up. Anyway, look, from Lauren, I'm just wondering, says Lauren, what the A's perspective is on white lies. You say they never tell lied to you. What would they think of a lie if it was to spare somebody's feelings?
They say that anytime you lie, you don't have a clear perspective of the situation you're in. Their opinion is there's never a reason to lie. That is their perspective. There's never a reason to lie. I can't say it any simpler than that. So
there we go.
But you know,
It's. I mean, it is it's very clear, isn't it? It's just it's very clear and absolute, and it's a very do lies begin on, you know, is this the place where they came up with the idea of a lie?
Earth is not the origin of deceit. That came from other star systems long time ago. So probably Orion, Alpha Draconis, and maybe even other galaxies before that. You know,
interesting, because I'm thinking of galaxy questions.
Wherever the darkness started, wherever it seeded first in our physical universe, that is probably where the origin of lies began. I mean,
interesting.
Just think about it logically, right?
I'm thinking about the film Galaxy Quest, when right at the end, and they said to them, "Look, we're not really this," and they couldn't grok it. They couldn't understand that these were people playing the part of somebody.
Right. The historical record.
They couldn't get around, the historical records. But these are historical records.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's a metaphor for religion as well, in some ways. What do you think? Like a little white lie.
Yeah, and then it just grows exponentially. And yeah, again, it comes down to intention. You know, it comes back to, what is your intention for doing what it is that you're doing? And, you know, clearly the intention to create religions, to worship other beings and to send them your energy, your frequency, for them to feed off of, you immediately have to ask yourself, well, why would they need my energy if they can create the entire universe and hold it together and it continues to expand? Why would they need my little bit of energy? You know, most people don't think those things out. They don't. They just do as they're told, thinking that it's absolute gospel, that this is what it is because, oh, you know, somebody in authority told me so. But you guys already know that. You're in the advanced group here. So, you know, I don't need to go there again. Okay.
Interesting. Thank you, Alex. Okay, so spiritualism. All right. All right. So the question from Jeff. It seems that alien and human AI is scientific materialism, that only spiritual AI allows the possibility of a soul. What is your understanding of this? Thank you so much.
What is spiritual AI? What is spiritual AI? How would you define spiritual AI as opposed to synthetic or materialistic AI? What is the difference between the two? Okay, artificial intelligence is artificial intelligence. Now, those of us who have soul, you're not AI. There's nothing artificial about your intelligence, about your knowledge and your experiences, because it survives you. You take it with you lifetime after lifetime. You take it with you whether you're in this galaxy or another. You take it with you whether you're in this dimension or not, or to another dimension, higher or even lower. that knowledge is yours because it's experiential. It is always yours. Artificial implies none of it's real. It's been programmed into you. And therefore, if the body dies, if the form that contains the AI goes away, or an EMP takes out the circuit boards or implodes the processor that contains all this information, all that information's gone. That is not the case with a soul. That information is never gone, ever. Now, I know that there's a specific UFO contactee who was talked about having his mind wiped, several times, in fact. Okay? That's concerning to me, and it should be to everybody else, you know, that this has happened. So is he AI? Does he have a soul? Where is his soul? Because that soul has recognition of all the experiences. So the question is, why is he being wiped? And that's all I'm going to say about that. Food for thought, folks.
Yum, yum, yum. Little nuggets. Crispy little nuggets. Sylvia, last webinar you explained how spaceships landing on Ganymede open their own habitat. Does this happen in fourth or fifth dimension? Is Ganymede fourth or fifth?
JP, I didn't get that last part. You cut out again. Does this?
Sorry.
Does Ganymede? Does this happen?
In the fourth or in the fifth dimension? And is Ganymede fourth or fifth dimension?
Okay. Ganymede can house third, fourth, and fifth density beings. And yes, in fifth density and in fourth density, many different life forms are completely different than others. And yes, they have to create their own habitat. They do. When they're visiting someone else, they create their own habitat around their ship or on the surface somewhere. They're given an area so that they can mingle, so that they can get out and experience the planet that they're on. Okay, it's just galactic hospitality. Okay, and then somehow an environment is created where the two sides, you know, the movie Arrival, where they had the wall, where behind one side of the wall was their habitat, so that they could survive, and then on the other side was us. That's what it's like. That is exactly what it's really like on third, fourth, and fifth density. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Right.
That's totally bona fide.
Gaia Warrior. What a challenge to see who's battling who all is involved in this battle. Lastly, do you see the RV happening soon to give humanity some oxygen? We could certainly use some.
Absolutely. I mean, there's just so many people having a hard time. You know, I try to remain optimistic about that. I do. But it's obvious that everyone is being given the same information, so that all the information is literally coming from one source. And I don't know. I simply don't know anymore. You know, but this week, you know, been 8, 9, 10 years of this week. So at some point, you just have to let it go and go about doing what you can to improve your situation. And if it happens, hoorah. And if it doesn't happen, well, you're continuously working to better your situation, which is what you'd have to do anyway. So to my answer to you is, I don't know anymore. I just don't know anymore. And I don't, and I need it as bad as anybody else, you know? So I don't know.
I think we should start manifesting more money, just ourselves, you know, rather than waiting for. Well, no, that's I don't want to sermonize. Anyway, Guy Warrior is asking, would an EMP then be good if it takes out the AIs?
No, I don't necessarily think it would be good, because it would also take out a lot of other things that we need every day. I don't. That whole situation is going to resolve itself somehow, some way. If it's allowed to fully manifest on the surface, and AI is fully implemented on the surface, it's probably going to take an extraterrestrial benevolent intervention to destroy it. Okay? Because ultimately, the people who are creating this AI, based on who they are and what their intentions are, whether they realize it or not, okay, because the programming, the coding, has their frequency. And if their frequency is control, deception, etc., 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 all those things that are on the negative field side of things, then what's eventually going to happen is that at some point AI will turn on them as well. It's just logical, okay? Because if that's what your intention is, it's going to carry itself out. It'll probably turn on them, and then it would take a benevolent intervention to take it out. And that could be the scenario if it's allowed to go forward. I don't know yet. I know that they have been experimenting with it. There's been a lot more experimentation with it than we have been led to believe. Big shock there, right? So, you're up.
From Dan. Sorry. I always seem to catch you like talking at the same time. From Dan, any information on DNA changes what we will experience with this? How about what we will see and experience in the fourth and fifth density? I'm seeing more shadowy beings and orbs. What else? Oh, I see. All right. In terms of what we're experiencing around us, I'm seeing more shadowy beings and orbs. What else should we expect? Thank you for all the truth you're sharing.
You're welcome. Regarding fourth density, you're going to see all kinds of things. And in the very beginning, you're going to see both negative and positive, because your mind is just seeing all this for the first time, and your subconscious doesn't know, it doesn't have a filter yet, per se, because it's seeing all of this for the first time as it's coming into vision, as it's coming into your view. So it doesn't know what to make of it just yet. What's important to note, though, as you're beginning to see these things, is to pay attention to how you feel. Okay, not just eyes, but how you feel, because that will be your genuine, true barometer. That will tell you, okay, because your soul knows the difference of the frequencies. It sees all of it, okay, and it knows all of it on some level. So as your mind is seeing it for the first time, it doesn't quite know what to make of it, but your soul does. Your soul will read its frequency right away. So pay attention to how you feel. And then what will happen is, if you're paying attention to how you feel, your mind will begin to categorize, and it will begin to filter negative, positive, so that as it becomes stronger and more prevalent, you will be able to distinguish between what you see as negative or positive. And therefore, you can choose where you focus. You want to focus on the positive fourth density. That's where you want to go. I mean, unless you want to dabble in the dark side of that. Good luck with that. There's some real shit there, really dark shit in lower fourth density, okay? But again, people don't know that because they're only seeing this for the first time. It's a process. It's a process. Um, it is no different than learning to walk. Steps, a little faster, then a trot, then a fast wobble, and then a run. Okay? They're steps. You have to take each one. And with each one, there's a recognition of what you're capable of and what you're not, and what you can do and what you can't do. And as you become more efficient with one, then you advance to the next level. So this is no different. Okay?
From Terry in Montana. How high does the Schumann resonance have to rise in order to shift into a higher dimension?
That is an outstanding question.
Or is that an indicator, or is the Schumann resonance an indicator of the dimensionality, or is the Schumann resonance a driver?
No, it is the Schumann resonance. The Earth is responding to the frequency. Okay, the Earth herself is not creating the frequency. She is responding to outside stimuli and then adjusting and adapting to it. Okay, that's my understanding about how it works. Now, she's continuously raising her vibration, her resonance, to meet a specific point. I have asked that question just recently, and I don't have an answer yet. The moment I get an answer as to whether or not, when we hit a specific plateau, physicality will shift, as soon as I have that answer, I will let you know. Okay? But it continues to rise, and that's a good thing, and I'm encouraged by that. I am. Very much so.
And it's pretty mental as well. Anyway, we're about 3 minutes out, so probably the last question. I'm trying to find a good one. This is from which one? All right, from Mark. Can you give us the proper sequence of events? Currency reset, galactic plane, Planet X, Second Coming, World War III, disclosure. Is there a kind of order of these things? Is it ticking off the list? What's the, or is it a random thing?
And I only got 2.5 minutes to do that. I got 2.5.
Yeah, in a nutshell. No pressure, Alex.
That is not fair. That's not fair. Oh my God.
All right, let's narrow it down. How about what's being and what's coming in now? As we're moving, because we're already started.
Let's take the RV out of the equation, because money's not real. Okay, it's a belief system, and yes, it would help, but it's not real. So let's just take that out of the equation. Okay, for the moment. Because it's still an absolute unknown at this point anymore. As far as a probable scenario, and the Schumann resonance continues, many of our younger people begin to walk in and out of fourth density, some maybe even going to fifth and coming back. They share their stories, like many children who have near-death experiences have done already. Okay, we start to pay attention. We now, as a consciousness, as a group consciousness of human beings, begin to focus on fourth and fifth density and the reality of it, therefore creating a bridge, an energetic bridge to those places. Okay, so that we can move ourselves back and forth. Now that we're thinking about it, now that we know, we believe that it's real, and we've created an energetic bridge, more and more people will then begin to see it themselves and move in and out, moving forward. At some point, we will have some benevolent intervention that will come in from behind us, and what they will do is they will separate us from the regressives once and for all. Now, it really isn't so much to protect us because we're on our way. We are creating the link and the bridges ourselves, and we did that, okay? But what it does is it makes sure that the regressives do not attach or hold on to us any further, and therefore they can be rounded up and dealt with once and for all. And this is what they're terrified about, okay? Because now their food source, their energy source of existence, which is us, we're gone. We're in another dimension. We're out of here, okay? And this is why I say to the answer that was, earlier, what happens to them? They're screwed. They're screwed. And it couldn't happen to a nicer bunch, frankly, okay? That's the probable scenario. I don't have a date. I don't have a date. We'll just have to see. But that's very likely what's going to happen. Okay, and we will and that probable scenario does several things. It empowers humanity to come together. It empowers humanity to change its perspective as to multiple different races to one race, regardless of race, color, or creed. Okay, we are now a family and we move together. Okay, except for those who simply choose not to move into the light and stick with the dark ones. But I don't suggest you do that. I suggest you get a clue and you dump those dudes because they're toast. They are absolutely going to be toast at some point. Okay? They are. And they have it coming. They absolutely have it coming. So, as you can tell, I have no empathy about that. And I don't.
It's been a while.
Okay. I'm not hiding it at all.
I know.
Guys, I got to go.
Thank you for joining us on this extraordinary journey of self-discovery and cosmic enlightenment with Alex Collier. Your support means the world to us. If you found this video insightful, please show your appreciation by giving it a thumbs up, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the bell icon to receive notifications for future uploads. By doing so, you stay connected with the latest cosmic revelations and help us spread Alex Collier's profound teachings to a broader audience. Remember, every like, subscription, and bell click can awaken more minds and ignite a collective shift in consciousness. We encourage you to share your thoughts, reflections, and questions in the comments below as your engagement fuels the expansion of knowledge and fosters a vibrant community of truth seekers. Together, we can uncover the hidden truths of the universe and embark on a journey of cosmic transformation. Until we meet again, keep seeking, growing, and shining your light in the vast cosmic tapestry. If you would like to see Andromedan contactee Alex Collier live via video stream, we host an online seminar 3 times a month on a Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. For more information and dates of upcoming online seminars, please visit alexcollier.org.
Please click on one of the above videos to seek more of Alex Collier's knowledge.